Global warming. Are you ready? Are you spiritually prepared for nuclear war?
Yep.
We got a crazy man in the Oval Office.
Yep.
America could be attacked by nuclear weapons soon, says Dr. John Horvat. From a Catholic perspective, what should a person do? The winds of war are blowing as the conflict in Ukraine threatens to expand to include all of Europe and even America. Let's just be honest, we're fighting a proxy war against Russia.
That's right.
And Ukraine is basically the chessboard, and we're funding it. So Dr. Horvath says there's much talk of nuclear war. At no time since the 1962 Cuban crisis has the possibility of such an outbreak been so likely. Here's my reflection. Remember, Terry, people were saying, Trump's going to get us into a war.
Yep.
Okay. And people were saying, we need Biden because Biden's the best foreign policy senator we have in Washington. They were wrong on both counts, Terry.
You think?
Trump not only did not get us into any war, but Biden seems to be the worst foreign policy senator Washington's ever produced. Even Barack Obama recently said, I can't say the word on radio, he said, hey, leave it to Biden to blank everything he touches.
Yeah. I want to mention something. Father Zachariah Boutros, I say it all the time. He's an inspiration. He's a Coptic priest. He told me in his book, he told us on the radio years ago that Islamic terrorists just killed his brother, a priest, slit his throat. And when the Bible fell to the ground of his brother's Bible, he picked it up and they said, you want to be next? And he's only 14 years old as a young man. He says, you can't send me anywhere God isn't. And I say the same thing. If nuclear war comes and everybody just gets zapped, if we're living in the state of grace, I mean, my eternity begins, right? And so this is why, preparation for it is so important. He says, so therefore the best preparation is what? A good confession while nuclear war looms. This is what I think is awesome. If it encourages people to go to confession, go. Catholics should make good and thorough examination of conscience so that when forgiven, they might have the peace of mind needed to deal with these extreme material challenges they will face in war. Continue.
Terry, Dr. Horvat, this guy's
spot on.
So yeah, everything he writes, this guy just got a sharp pen. He's got a PhD. He's actually got a PhD, but also a PhD in common sense. And he's just also got a wealth. And
he's an on-fire Catholic who loves Jesus and the church.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. However, he says it's not enough to confess in anticipation of a conflict. Dangerous times put people in peril and they fall into sin.
Yep.
As World War II approached, St. Maximilian Kolbe recommended to the Polish people that they stockpile a special spiritual weapon as part of preparations. It consists of knowing what to do in chaotic times when priest and confession are unavailable. It's about knowing how to make a perfect act of contrition to return to a state of grace.
Wow.
Terry, this is so important what we're about to teach right now.
You don't hear this, Justice.
No,
continue
Terry,
on.
This is old school Catholicism.
Well, that's what we need.
And I'll tell you who did a perfect contrition. Saint Dismas on the cross.
There you go.
That's how he got to heaven.
There you go.
Perfect act of contrition.
Yep.
A golden key. Mm-hmm. Every Catholic prepper needs to keep this golden key within reach. Mm-hmm. In his booklet, The Gold Key to Paradise, Perfect Contrition, Catholic author Reverend J. von den Driesch offers what he calls a key for dire circumstances that, with the grace of God, will open heaven for you. The church teaches that a vital part of confession is for the penitent to have contrition.
Exactly.
Which is the pain of the soul and a hatred for sins committed. This contrition can be imperfect, as when sinners regret their sins out of fear of the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. This perfect contrition suffices...
this imperfect contrition.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay.
This imperfect contrition suffices in the confessional where the priest gives the absolution. However, when confession cannot be obtained, a better contrition is needed and should be used by the Catholic prepper. Terry, this is the meat of the article. Go ahead.
I love it. Perfect contrition. I love this.
This is the meat of it.
Yeah, exactly. Is sorrow and hatred for one's sin, not out of fear, that's imperfect contrition, but from perfect love of God. Wow, Jess, I want to repeat that sentence because it's gold. Perfect contrition is sorrow and hatred for one's sin, not out of fear, but from perfect love of God. The penitent does not love because of the benefits received, but because God is infinitely perfect, beautiful, and good. Taken right out of the catechism. He is deserving of all love outside of any benefits he may give or punishments he may inflict. Now, that golden key consists of inciting in oneself a state of intense contrition. The church teaches one's sins are forgiven through this act, although the sins should be confessed later. The penitent must ardently ask God for this great grace of sorrow out of love for him. The sinner might repeat with great fervor the part of the act of contrition that announces this sorrow for sin by declaring, "But most of all, because I offended thee, my God, who are all good and deserving of all my love." An act of perfect contrition, wow, this is so beautiful, is more difficult than the imperfect contrition needed for confession, although its effects are the same. So in time of peril, which we're in right now, the sinner can regain the state of grace and friendship with God by using the golden key.
Terry, this is the way a lot of Protestants are going to be saved.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, I believe at the end of their life, God will give them the grace. You know, I'm just saying, like people like Billy Graham, Mike Huckabee, people that have been tracking towards the right direction all their life.
Yep.
You know, even somebody like Dennis Prager. Christ will reveal himself to Prager at the last moment.
Yep.
And he'll have at that point perfect contrition. He'll see the horror of his sin.
Yep.
The horror of it, you know, the horror of our soul.
You're right, Jess.
And he's going to have just at that moment, I want you. I want only you. And I'm so sorry for offending you. I think a lot of, again, this is the way non-Catholics will be saved at the end. The ones who are saved will be by a perfect contrition. So this is not just only for Catholics. Anybody can have perfect contrition. Again, St. Dismas didn't have any of the sacraments, and he's in heaven right now.